Mysterious massive lines of stone stretching across the desert, Colonel Sanders and Coca-Cola logos, SOS messages, and ancient carvings so massive they only make sense from high up in the sky. These are strange structures found on Google Earth. Out in the middle of the Saudi Arabian desert, there are a bunch of these mysterious stone structures. It's these long lines of rock stretching across the ground. Archaeologists have called them gates because they kind of look like field gates from above. David Kennedy, a professor at the University of Western Australia, said they, quote, appear to be the oldest man-made structures in the landscape, and added that there's no obvious explanation as to what they were used for. But there are almost 400 of these things. Some are just single lines of stones with little piles at the ends. Others are huge, forming rectangles or more complex shapes. The smallest gates are about 43 feet long, the longest more like 1,700. Nearly 5 NFL football fields. Some of these stone walls also have old lava flows sitting on top of them. That's how researchers know they're really old. Probably thousands of years old at least. But the weird part isn't just how big they are, it's also where they're built. This is a brutal place. There's barely any water, barely any plants, and yet people went out there and built hundreds of these things anyway. Ads are everywhere these days. Can't even watch a 30-second video on YouTube without watching a 30-second ad beforehand. Well, now they're showing up on Google Earth too. Take a look at this. Colonel Sanders has not been photoshopped into this image. That's literally what you see from above this section of the Nevada desert. This is what's known as mapvertising. Advertisements made specifically to be seen from up in the sky. Here's another one. Coca-Cola planted thousands of trees in Chile to spell out its name on a hillside. This next one is just fantastic. This image was posted to Reddit by user King QUEEFS a lot. Amazing. Anyway, they wrote, found this while looking up my house on Google Maps. Turns out my neighbors might not get along. And yeah, whoever made this may be alerting people flying above that their neighbor is an a-hole, or perhaps they're just letting the world know that there's a hole in the general direction the arrow is pointing to. I don't see one, but you never know. Actually, I'll be honest, that is what I thought at first. Maybe that's just my innocent brain. Last year, a bunch of Google Earth satellite images started making the rounds online that showed something pretty alarming in a vacant lot near downtown LA. In this dirt patch, someone had laid out debris to spell out help multiple times, as you can see. They also spelled out LAPD, FBI, and traffic, which, along with help written out all over the place, seems like a pretty obvious SOS. But when the LAPD checked it out, they didn't find any crime or emergency taking place. No evidence of human trafficking, which is what a lot of people online were jumping to. Problem is though, the words hadn't just popped up. Satellite images going back over a year showed the same words spelled out. So had something serious actually gone on and police were just too late? Well, the company that owns the lot, Union Pacific Railroad, eventually explained what was going on. They said the messages were put there by one person who'd been trespassing on the property. Police said the same man had also trespassed on properties nearby, leaving similar messages behind. If you zoom into Chile's Atacama Desert on Google Earth, you're gonna notice something massive on a hillside. This bizarre-looking 390-foot-long figure. It's called the Atacama Giant, and it's actually the largest human-shaped figure ever found in the world. They create it by clearing darker rocks from the hillside so that the lighter soil underneath would form the shape. From above, it's impossible to miss. Nobody knows exactly why it was made though, but archaeologists think it dates back to between 900 and 1450 CE, long before planes and satellites, and that's pretty strange, because the only way to really appreciate this thing is from above, so who was this for? And there are lines stretching out from its head and body. Some researchers think they might have been used like a sky calendar, lining up with the stars and moon to help track the seasons. In a place as dry as the Atacama, knowing when rain might fall could literally mean the difference between life and death, so that would make sense. On the edge of Egypt's Red Sea coast, Google Earth shows a massive spiral carved into the desert. It looks ancient, it's actually modern. It's called Desert Breath. It was created in 1997 by 3 Greek artists, known as the DAST art team. This thing is big, about 1 million square feet big, making it one of the largest land art installations ever created. They made it by digging cones into the sand and piling the extra sand up around them, which ended up forming 2 huge spirals that twist toward the center. There used to be a shallow pool of water in the middle, but that's long gone now. If you're standing there on the ground, it doesn't really look all that impressive. It just looks like random piles of sand and holes, but looking at it from above, I mean, yeah, just look at it. It won't be around forever, unfortunately. The artists knew the wind would slowly wear it down over time, and that's exactly what's happening. The edges have softened, some of the shapes are fading, but even decades later, you can still clearly see the spiral from satellite images. In Alberta, Canada, there's a strange formation you can see on Google Earth. Pull back far enough, and the hills and erosion lines form what looks like a man's face. People started calling it the Badlands Guardian. Of course, this is completely natural, but there's an added layer to this that people have noticed. Doesn't it look like a man wearing Apple earbuds? Right where the ear would be, there's a straight road, and at the top a circular oil well pad. They line up perfectly, making it look like the figure is wearing headphones. None of that was intentional. They just happened to fall in exactly the right place. And once you notice it, you can't unsee it. Well, I bet you weren't expecting to see something like this on the list. For a time, if you happened to be scrolling around northern Italy on Google Maps, you might have come across this thing. Lying across the side of a mountain was a giant pink bunny, a massive stuffed rabbit stretched out in the grass. It was roughly 200 feet long, and for years nobody online really knew what to make of it. Why was it there? Who put it there? Why a bunny of all things? People started traveling out to see it for themselves. Some climbed on it, some took photos. It turned into this strange roadside attraction. Eventually, there was an explanation though. The bunny was an art installation placed there in 2005 by a group of Austrian artists. They designed it to slowly fall apart over time, letting nature take it back piece by piece, and that's exactly what has happened. By the mid-2010s, it had mostly broken down. Today, the bunny is pretty much gone, leaving behind nothing but old satellite images and the memory of one of the strangest things ever spotted on Google Earth. If you scroll across the Pacific Ocean on Google Earth, you'll eventually see an island that looks wrong. Vostok Island appears almost completely black, like a hole was punched into the ocean. There's barely any detail, it's just darkness. People online immediately assumed something was being hidden. Was this a censored location, some sort of secret military site? Well, it turns out, no. The island looks black because it's covered almost entirely by Pisonia trees, which grow extremely dense and absorb light. So from above, the canopy blocks almost all reflection, making the island appear unnaturally dark. And the island is completely uninhabited, so there are no landmarks to make out. If you zoom into the desert plains of southern Peru on Google Earth, you'll notice what looks like scratches in the ground. Pull back, and suddenly those scratches turn into shapes, perfect shapes, straight lines that run for miles. There are also carvings of animals like birds, a monkey with a curled tail, a spider. These are the Nazca Lines. They were made somewhere between 500 BCE and 500 CE by the Nazca people. They created them by scraping away the dark rocks on the surface, again exposing lighter soil underneath. The desert here is so dry and still that the lines have survived for over 1,000 years. And again, most of these things can't really be seen from the ground. You need to be hundreds or thousands of feet up to see what they actually are. And that raises the obvious question. Why did these people create these giant images they'd never be able to fully appreciate? Archaeologists can't say for sure, but what we do know is that some of these lines stretch over 30 miles, and there are more than 1,000 figures spread across the desert. That has been the video for today. I will catch you, yes, you specifically, next time.